I'm just going on a date. I don't normally wear this kind of thing.
Be bold. Your date will compliment you.
I had read an interview where you had mentioned that you had seen and were very taken with Barbarian Sound Studio.
Loved it.
If you could tell me what it was about that movie that really drew you in.
I just loved the atmosphere of the film. The fact that the storyteller was not at all self-conscious. He was just trying to do something different. When I say that, I don't want it to sound as if somebody's actively trying to do something differently. I just think that he thinks in a very refreshing way. The wonderful thing about the film, his stuff, is I can imagine the same to be true of Barbarian Sound Studio. You read it and you say, this is either going to be brilliant or it's not going to work at all. And it's being able to jump into that process. That's what excited me about it. I just knew that the process was going to be very interesting. And I'm not sort of result-oriented, so it's like, whatever, if it works. Maybe shouldn't be saying that. This is for me, this is not for anybody else.
A purchase on a horizon?
I'm just looking, thank you.
The hesitation in your voice, soon to be an echo in the recesses of the spheres of retail.
I was telling someone the other day, if I walked into a store and that sales assistant came out, I would turn around and walk back out. I would not even entertain it. You know, I get a dress and it moves in the middle of the night. It's going on a bonfire straight away. Or I'm moving out of the house and going to live somewhere else. If the dress turns up at that house, then we're in trouble.
So to put it briefly, you would never even be in this situation because you probably would barely set foot in that store.
Oh, totally. I'd have been totally freaked out, you know. Well, I mean, Famke's fantastic.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Fatma. She's brilliant. But, and it was bizarre because obviously English isn't our first language, much less English written in the style that Peter wrote that, you know, that piece. But what it had, I remember her saying her lines and stuff and listening to her and almost being hypnotized by the way in which he'd worded things and her accent and all that. I mean, it was genius, actually.
Are you trying to piece it together as you're reading through? And
not necessarily. I just have to have her arc on what she's doing, where she's going, how she's feeling. Because, I mean, look, if you did a version of sort of, what could I say, The Wizard of Oz, for example, how to make it really work is to ground Dorothy in reality. So regardless of whether a little green man who's about that high walks past or not, she has to, it's got to be part of her world that she sees every day and deals with. And it's just keeping hold of that as you go. Do you know what I mean? Just going, this is Sheila's world.
Yeah, that's funny. I hadn't thought of
This is how stuff goes.
Wizard of Oz, Yellow Brick Road.
There's a yellow brick road. Follow it. Okay. Well, I get the GPS up on my phone.
Right.
It's like.
And not ruby slippers, but like a scarlet red dress.
Oh, yes. That might kill you.
7 and 7 and 8 and 6 and stop.
As promised.
Thank you.
You look different.
Peter Strickland strikes me as a very detail-oriented person. And I wondered how, if at all, if that comes through in the script, like is every detail written out there?
I think there's a combination of things. I think things happen to him while he's doing the project that he actually will see something and go, oh, that's really interesting, we'll add that. But I think a lot of it is already there on the page. You know, like the guys in the bank, they're accomplished comedians, you know, and serious actors, and could have improvised up the wazoo in a scene like that. But it was written so sort of like idiosyncratically, you sort of annoyingly nonsensical, that any, you know, decent actor or whatever is going to look at this and go, oh my God, this is brilliant to just say this stuff, you know. So yeah, he is very detail oriented. I mean, especially to get certain shots, he'd be like, stay there with your arms up like that and then turn. And I turn a little bit more, I'd be like, oh my God. My biceps are hurting.
How are you keeping yourself grounded in that character, though?
Well, I laughed a lot, I have to tell you. I laughed a lot, and then I just said, you know what? Get a grip and get on with it, because you have to. But I think what was interesting is that was her normal. That was her normal, dealing with these crazy people. You know, walking along the street and seeing people that you work with that ignore you, being in your own home and feeling completely and utterly alone, even if your son's there in the next room, you know. Her life was such that anything, I mean, she could have gone one way or the other. She could have completely had a nervous breakdown. Or she would do what she started to do, which is go, right, I'm going to look after myself and I'm going to, you know, stand up for me and all that good stuff.
Oh my God, what's that? That looks nasty.
Maybe just the washing powder.
Oh, I hope it isn't catchy.
How's it going, Sheila?
Everything's fine.
What happened to your hand?
Washing machine went bananas.
Speaking of the dress, I think it is such a funny move on the part of, I guess we'll say A24, the distributor, to put this out in the middle of the holiday shopping season.
Oh, yeah. I actually went to the stores on, when was it? Was it Friday?
Yeah.
Never, ever in my life have I done that. I've never done it because it's my idea of a nightmare. Because it's the type of thing I'd go in, there'd be too many people, not enough staff, and then you just go, well, I'm just going to be here for 4 hours. Why am I going to do this to myself? But I've been talking about it a lot, obviously, doing interviews for this film. And boy, it just makes me laugh, though, the whole notion that, you know, they're telling you that this television, you're going to get $400 off for this television, and they're going to do it for all the stuff in the store. And you go, okay, so how much is it really worth if you can take 400 off? How much is it really worth? How much am I paying for it? And do I really need it? But you've seen stuff on the news where people are fighting over a TV or, you know, there's one iPad left and some kid is crying while the mother's bashing somebody else over the head to get hold of it. It's like...
Such a pretty dress.